Do you think you know what curiosity means? Have you ever been frustrated because you ask questions without answers? Some people could never tolerate the idea of "we don't know yet." In the Middle Ages, there was an emperor who did not stop at asking questions. He tested. His name was Frederick II, and what you are about to discover will shock you. This man was extraordinary. Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, King of Sicily, King of Germany, and for a time, King of Jerusalem. He took that last crown scandalously, removing his own father-in-law, excommunicated twice, 3 wives, 8 legitimate children, and more illegitimate children than anyone could comfortably count. A mix of genius, political ambition, and curiosity with no limits. The problem was simple. When Frederick wanted an answer, someone paid the price. Prisoners starved to death just to see what would happen at the end. People were killed after meals. Their stomachs were examined to determine whether activity or sleep affected digestion more. Infants were raised without a word, without a caress, without affection, all in an attempt to discover the original language of humanity, the language of Adam. Sounds like Frankenstein? Yes. But this is not fiction. In this video, we enter the unseen laboratory of a medieval emperor, and we ask, how far can curiosity go when nothing stops it? Nicknamed Stupor Mundi, the wonder of the world, Frederick II remains enigmatic. Although he was widely discussed during his life, much of his reign is wrapped in rumors, legends, and contradictions. Among the darker stories are those recorded by Salimbene di Adam, an Italian Franciscan monk from Parma. He joined the order in 1238 against his father's wishes. Salimbene left many writings, the most famous being the Chronicle. Another key text is the 12 Calamities of Emperor Frederick II. The purpose of this work was clear: highlight the supposed moral failings of the emperor, lack of piety, contempt for the Church of Rome, and immoral behavior. Salimbene paints a picture of a cruel ruler. Among his most shocking accusations, inhumane experiments on humans. According to the monk, Frederick used prisoners as test subjects. In one episode, a detainee was sealed in a wooden barrel. No food, no water, until death. The final moment was carefully observed. A hole in the barrel had a purpose. Frederick wanted to see if the soul could be perceived as it left the body. Another experiment was even more macabre. 2 prisoners were fed identically. One was sent hunting. The other went to sleep. Hours later, both were killed. Their stomachs were examined to see whether activity or rest affected digestion more. The most disturbing story concerns language. Frederick was fascinated by the idea of discovering the primordial language, the one spoken by Adam and Eve. He reportedly ordered several infants to be raised by nurses. The nurses could feed and wash them, but could not speak to them. No caresses, no affection. The result was tragic. All the children died, deprived of warmth, deprived of human contact. We do not know how many infants were involved or how often the experiment was repeated. The conclusion is clear: extreme cruelty with no real scientific value. Still, Frederick had a profound interest in natural sciences and biology. Independent sources and his own writings confirm this. He created animal reserves, including a vast habitat for water birds, funded from his own treasury. He maintained a menagerie of exotic animals: panthers, lions, leopards, and camels. He often traveled with them. In the winter of 1231, in Ravenna, Frederick arrived with numerous wild animals. In 1245, the monks at Santa Zeno, in Verona, hosted 24 camels, 5 leopards, and an elephant from his entourage. Salimbene himself saw this menagerie when the emperor passed through Parma. His court was just as unusual. Magicians, acrobats, eunuchs, slaves, dwarfs, and people with rare physical traits frequently accompanied him. He was fascinated by human diversity. Frederick also conducted experiments of a more benign kind. One famous example involved fish. He marked a fish with a copper ring and released it into a lake. Legend says that in 1497 the fish was caught again, still wearing the ring inscribed with Greek text, noting the experiment date in 1230. He was passionate about falconry. His work, De Arte Venandic Mavibus, is considered one of the first scientific treatises on animal behavior. It shows a true empirical approach and a genuine desire to understand nature. Frederick was a religious skeptic. Raised under the Pope's care, he did not become an obedient monarch. He was accused of blasphemy, excommunicated twice, and ignored papal sanctions. Pope Gregory IX called him the precursor of the Antichrist. Dante Alighieri placed him in hell among heretics. Yet his court was multicultural and tolerant of Muslims, Jews, and Greeks. Contemporaries interpreted this as evidence of his demonic nature. Was Frederick II a tyrant without empathy, or a thinker ahead of his time? Even Salimbene admits he was intelligent, cultured, charismatic, and hardworking. In 1224, Frederick founded the University of Naples, one of the oldest in the world. He supported the arts, medicine, and hygiene. He introduced strict rules for soldiers' health and promoted regular bathing, a revolutionary idea for medieval Europe. Frederick II remains a paradoxical figure between cruelty and enlightenment, myth and reality. A man who continues to fascinate centuries after his death. For more shocking and fascinating stories from European history, stay tuned to discover the extraordinary, bizarre, and surprising events that shaped the continent.